Alright guys, back again. Like I said, I cleaned the frame a bit last night. Right now I'm just working on pulling off some more things off the frame. Got the oil filter draining, huge relocation filter. And I'm going to take off that air filter. That's for compressed air. Because I think I explained this before, but this is a AC condenser compressor turned into a air compressor. That's what the guy was using it for. Little tiny pre-filter here, and it was going into a air filter there, and back to a service bed that this thing had on it. I also took off the fuel filter. I'm just saving all those parts for now. I'll probably replace the fuel filter. It's pretty standard. And here it's a little dark. I just put throwing stuff in the cap for now. So I'll probably just get a whole new filter head for it. And then this one, I'll probably keep this because it's pretty massive. So I imagine it's not super cheap, plus it works fine. It's pretty simple. I mean, thread locker, not thread locker, but thread sealant, and then the fittings. So it's not like it has any gaskets to leak or anything. It works good. It's massive. So that'll go back on. I think I'll get a new fuel filter. Won't need that anymore. And I'm just gonna keep plugging away at that. Need to cut this brake line back there. I'm not going to cut the other two off because I don't know how available they are yet. I imagine it's not hard to get. A lot of people have Dentsides, but just want to be sure. This one I already cut once though to get it out of the cab, so it's just whatever. After that, I'll probably take another fuel filter off here. Now the one in the back, I think, because I'm going to relocate the fuel tank. Sorry. I'm just going to get a faster and air dog for that, and then this one will go back on, so I won't, well, maybe it'll go back in, it probably will, so I'm not going to get rid of that. I may just plumb stuff directly where it needs to go, since I'll have a faster and air dog, and then I'm going to start taking apart the throttle stuff. I really need to get this power steering out, and then I start taking stuff off the motor, basically, get that ready to pull. I also want to get ready to pull the transmissions, both of them. So I'm going to try to disconnect the driveline, which doesn't look super fun because it's threaded through this way. The bolts are back there, but we'll see. Hopefully it's not too bad. I haven't even looked at this side yet. I haven't looked at that driveline yet. I'm hoping those are fairly easy. I am gonna pull the motor soon. I got a cherry picker. Maybe not super soon. I'm gonna pull everything off of it so it's a little lighter, but I do want to pull it out of the frame so I can get the frame prep, take everything on the motor apart, reseal it, make sure everything looks good. It does have access holes to see the crankshaft and the rods over here because it's such a big motor. So I'll pull that out, look at it, reseal it. I'm just going to do that with everything because it runs awesome, but I just want to make sure it doesn't leak anymore. That'll hopefully make it easier to look at the oil pan too, because this cross brace that it's bolted to actually goes in between the oil pan and the motor. But it looks like they made it, instead of just welding it on, thankfully they made it so I can just unbolt it, remove it. I'll probably look at beefing that up because it doesn't, I mean, it's old, doesn't look the best. And then I can take the motor even more apart once it's out, start painting, doing whatever I need to do. So that's where I'm at now.
Alright, we got the driveline out, the three filters, the air filter, fuel filter, oil filter all removed. We got the shifting mechanism for the secondary removed. The lines ended up just disconnecting with it, so that was pretty convenient. I think that's it for the night. Like I said, I'm only spending a few hours at a time, but all that's good. I did get some more cleaning done now that the filter is out of the way. Well, all the filters. It's definitely not perfect, but it's getting better and better every time. And Don't know if I have much else to say. Like I said, I'm gonna work on that fuel filter, throttle stuff, but I think maybe instead of working on anything on the motor, I'm gonna shift gears, and work on removing at least this transmission, get it out of the way. I'm still not sure how I'm gonna get these bolts off to remove that drum brake. I don't know if I should do that while it's bolted to the motor so I can use the compression of the motor to hold it in place, or if I should just take a risk and remove it and then try to take that off. I feel like I probably should get some wrenches. The problem is I don't have wrenches big enough to get on that yet. I'll have to pick some up, and then I can try to get that drum brake out of the way so I don't have to worry about it once the trans is on the ground. And then I will work on that one soon too. It is a little bit annoying that this is right on top of it. I'm not sure if I can move it back a little. Yeah, I could actually, maybe. Problem is the crane couldn't get it back any further than this because we had the truck pushed all the way up against my benches up there. But I might be able to, I could probably lift the front end that way now, where her car's at, and pull it forward. Lift the cab up with the frame again, or lift the cab with the crane again, and then move it back on the frame. So I got more working room for that guy, which I'll probably do soon. But right now, this is my main focus. I do want to get the two transmissions out of the way, maybe before the motor. So I'd like to have the motor in the frame for as long as possible, so once I remove it, I can just bust it out and then put it back in. Because it looks like I'll probably be setting it over there. I might have to set it over here, but I just don't want it to be taking up extra space when it doesn't need to. So I'll probably, sorry about that guys, my battery died, but anyway, I'd like to, like I said, I'd like to leave the motor in as long as possible. So I'll probably get the two transmissions out, move this back so I can just clean the frame all the way up to the motor. I'm not gonna paint it until I can do the whole frame, but I wanna make it quick and easy. So two transmissions out, and then I'll pull the motor before I pull all the steering parts so I can actually move it over there easy. Move it over there, pull the motor, well, move the cab, then pull the motor, set the motor off to the side, probably work on steering, all those components, get them cleaned up, clean the frame, paint it, and then work on the motor, so then I can put the motor back into the frame. It's all ready to go. Anyway, that's what I got going on, and we'll keep working on it. And my dog is gagging. She's good. Anyway, right on guys. Alright guys, we're back. I'm gonna fix my winch because I don't know if I told this in the video before or not, but I ended up using the front end of the winch as a pulley to get the cab off, which seemed like it was gonna work pretty decent. I was a little skeptical about it, but it ended up cutting through the wire. We ended up returning one of the winches because it had cut the wire. We dropped the cab. That was pretty scary. I wish I had it on video, but there's a lot going on. I didn't take video. Next time I definitely will. But it ended up, what happened was the cable got stuck in between the body of the mount and the rollers, so it just cut through it, and it started doing it with this cable too. Rather than return this winch, I just got some cable clamps. It's 50 feet long, and I'm never going to need it that long, obviously. I did that because it was really, I couldn't find a flush mount, a surface mount pulley locally, and I wanted to get the cab off that day. I ended up finding one online for 20 bucks, Home Depot. It's a pretty heavy duty, way more heavy duty than what's going on right now, so that should work great. Got my cable clamps. I did pick up a wrench set. Yeah, I know it's Harbor Freight, but stuff's cheap and it works good, and if it breaks, then we can return it. But, so that's what I'm going to do for now, so at least it works again. Right now it's totally useless. I can't even use it. But I think this weekend I'll do that, but I didn't buy it yet, but I found it's a clamp, well, it's a hook that has a pulley on one end. I'm going to get another 4x4 and bolt it up there, and then I'll run the cable down through the pulley hook and back up. So
That way the winch will run way slower. It'll be a little bit stronger, which that wall isn't the strongest. It's doing exactly what I need it to do. But it'll at least have more weight will be held up there. It should be way safer because it'll run slower, smoother. But for now, I'm just going to throw that pulley up there, and then I'll get a 4x4 later, like I said, and bolt it up there. And I still need to do some framing in the trusses just to make it a little stronger. I know I won't be lifting like motors out of the frame with that thing. It's definitely not for that, but I want it to be a little bit safer than it is right now. Yeah, I think this pulley is going to make life way better. Anyway, let me get that up there. Alright, I got this down so you can see it a little bit better. The cable's all cut up. It's almost half the thickness right there. But what happened was we had bent this mount and the cable got stuck right there in between the roller. It was just rubbing on that shaft. It actually started cutting through. You can't see it on the video too well. It's all jacked up. I mean, I can hardly even turn it by hand. It's obviously not a good idea, but I mean, it got the cab off, so that worked out. Here's what we're gonna have going on now. It should be a lot better. Smooth. So I just gotta get this cut. I'm gonna try to save this little clip so I can use it maybe. And then I'll just cut the cable here. So it's scared all of it. So I like to clean little hook, but I don't need it. I don't want to take the whole thing down and take off all of it. So just run it like that. So it's all fixed. Try it out. See if it'll lift the cab safer now. Probably after I do the double up pulley, like I said. I think I want to do that before I lift the cab again. I stepped to the motor just for a second, play around with it. Got the fan off, all the belts are off, and I removed the AC compressor. Still got to figure out how I'm going to replace that because I don't know what it's from. It's obviously kind of custom to be on this motor, which is fine. Hopefully I can make AC work in this truck, but I'd really rather have it on. But anyway, I think I'm probably done for a little bit. Be back soon.
Whoops. Finally got the transmission out of this thing. I think I've said this before, but I'm not sure. I was going to reuse it, but it's really hard to find parts for. Most of the parts you do find for it are used, and I want something that can be worked on throughout the years. So I'm trying to figure out what I should put in this thing. The only catch to that is this bell housing is pretty specific to that transmission. And you can get adapters for like a NV4500. But the problem I'm running into now, just with research, is this bell housing has mounts that are holding the motor up on the back, and the NV4500 bell housing does not have those supports. So that's one of the things I'll have to deal with. But at least it's out. Getting closer. Okay, we got the compressor mount off. Excuse me. And I took the power steering off. Power steering pump, I should say. And I removed the fan mount. And I just sat here for a little bit on Google, researching the model and serial number, seeing what I can come up with. That is off of a vehicle. The original 453P was. That's the other where the serial number is also located. I haven't done too much. Just been researching a lot. It's gonna slow down a little bit here now that I gotta start figuring out what I'm gonna do when I start putting it back together. Still taking it apart, but obviously we're getting way close, so doing a little bit of research as I go now.